Welcome, Saurabh. Welcome to SignalQuest.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
When you wrote into me, I was like really curious for somebody who's done his engineering in metallurgy. I've been very far away from the world that you reside in today and thrive in. And your journey has been very different. So tell me more about, what you are doing, Saurabh, and what your company is all about. And I have a lot of questions to ask you.
Sure. So let's start with what A1 is doing right now.
Yeah.
So A1 is in the space of perimeter security. So we have been manufacturing since 98, 99. So it's almost been more than 25 years now. And we started with manufacturing of one product, which is all razor wire. We all know it, something that goes on top of fences and top of the walls. Back then, we were exporting this to the US. And from there, one thing led to another. And we started making a whole gamut of products which go into perimeter security. And now we're manufacturing in 5 different countries. We manufacture in India, in UAE, Oman, Saudi, and in the US. We started supplying to, let's say, markets where we were supplying to stockists there, and then moved on to started doing directly the projects. So that's what the organization does. But even is I would like to say that it's more than what the products that it makes. It's more about its people and more about how we do it. And that's been the interesting part of the journey.
Right.
Be very blessed to be part of all of this. Did my engineering, did masters in computer engineering, and then landed up in what was and it remains family business. And I think on my calling in being part of this group and building the organization side of.
Okay, that's great. So you left it in a very sort of under appreciated tone. I would say that you just found your calling. One of the main reasons why I'm actually having this conversation is because that calling that you're talking about and the company that you have built is a really interesting company. I've met some of your people as well, so it's not something that you're just speaking. It's about people in the company. So tell me more about that part of the journey, Saurabh. How did that whole thing? Because when I hear about a company like even products or somebody who's just making fencing products, right? It seems like a very traditional company which is going to be in a very set manner. There are templates that people have about these kind of organization, and A1 is just not like that, right? So why is A1 not like that? And what have you done differently to build a company like this, an organization like this?
Thanks for for seeing us in this way. We didn't see the organization from outside in and then did something differently. I think there was this whole drive towards growth in some ways. And then a bunch of us who were around in 2005, 8, 10. And that drive resulted in growth in different ways, growth in business and all of that. I think somewhere around 2011, 12, we started feeling that we probably cannot keep growing in the way that we've been growing, which was essentially working on the sales side of it. And then subsequently, as we increase the sales side of it, then increase the manufacturing capacities and things like that, we reached a level that, we probably need to do things differently. And that's when we started getting into the subject of organization. I mean, we didn't really think that we have to get into the subject of the organization. We just kind of start dealing with the daily thing. Which now when I look back, I can say that's about the organization. And started dealing with it. We started meeting people who, seem to know, how to do this, started talking. So that kind of started triggering a chain of thoughts that maybe, we need to do a few things. So I cannot really, from where I am within the organization, cannot say that we've done things differently. Because for that, you need a point of reference. So I don't have a point of reference. And I think if that's happened, then maybe it's probably because we got lucky that none of us knew how it's done. We had no education in that space. Uh, if you were just trying to, grow, they just say, send the product, make money, and that kind of thing. Yeah. But when as we started getting into it, I think we got really interested in it. That looks this fun. Yeah. And which is what Iman is about, really. That we try to do things which we like doing, which we enjoy doing. Yeah. And yeah. And then obviously, we are able to, when we are doing that, we are able to make money by the way. Yeah. And that keeps us, sustains us for being able to do things which we enjoy doing more. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, one thing led to another. And at some point of time, we thought that, maybe it would be useful to put a vision for us. And, this was around 2016, 17. And then let's see that, what all of us want to be. Yeah. Where do we want to take A1? Also around, I mean, as we thought of doing that, let's kind of dig deep inside ourselves and see what do we stand for? What are those values that we have gotten us over here? Or what is it that gets us going, or what is it that puts us off? And things like that. And then again, in very, very simple terms, we were lucky to have found partners, facilitators who kind of helped us through this. And I think what helped is that whatever we did, we meant it. Yeah. Frankly, it's been a chaotic thing, but everything was done with an intent. Yeah, with an intent which was more like within rather than I think we, looking back, I can say that we uh, could save ourselves from the thought of how is this looking from outside. And I think that didn't really come up so much. It probably does come up more often now than then. Okay, but at least then we could, we didn't really, the mind didn't go there. Yeah, and we continue to focus on what we want to do and how do we want to build the organization. And once we put down things like the vision, the core value, and once we felt deeply that we mean this, then everything else started following. Yeah. I think important part was that apart from the intent, was perhaps we also learned how to stay on things for reasonably long enough time. Yeah. Uh, because there were often moments where, we could have left it. Yeah. But we stuck to it. Yeah. We kind of hang around and all that. And then, gradually, I would say it started feeling easier also.
So, again, Saurabh, I think you're being too humble here. I can, make a list of reasons why someone else in your situation would have probably given up, right? For example, just the fact that the kind of industry you are in, be moving from a family-run business, it's still a family-run business, but the way it is being run, giving so much of autonomy and agency to people in the company. Without that, nothing of this is going to work, right? You very sort of subtly said that you were forced to think first principles almost because you were something, by just trying to understand the basics of it. And people trip up there, right? So these are all reasons why this could have not turned out the way it has. So did you have any doubt that, oh, are we doing the right thing? How would we be able to circumvent this challenge? What were those initial sort of, days like?
So when I look back, Harish, and as you are asking and I'm thinking about it, not able to remember moments of doubts. Okay, I think uh, pretty. So I'm just thinking that what could have been the other way of being it. Okay, because we were doing it with intent, we were doing it with a certain degree of conviction. We didn't really feel doubts about what we're doing. Certainly, if we go deeper into concrete pieces of work, yeah, they were significant debates, argument fights. Yeah, but I think we are blessed with, and I'm kind of thinking about it right now, we're blessed with intent. Yeah. The collective intent, has been more or less to make things work. Yeah.
Right.
And, we all have our own egos and all that. I mean, that's natural. Yeah. But I think because of that collective intent, people would, you know, come around there, whether that's I have to come around or whether someone else has to come around, would come around there. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think that we went through any such periods of doubts. It is in early on. Uh, Definitely in the how of things, right? We had lots of ups and downs. Yeah, I mean, there were times when we felt that hey, we just gone too much into ourselves. Yeah, we need to kind of start looking at more at market. Yeah, and things like that. So that whole inward looking and outward looking, I think those balances kept moving here and there till we kind of actually became conscious about it. That look, I think we need to kind of hear. So earlier we were not conscious about it, and the balances were moving here and there and there. And once we started kind of putting words to it, look, this is what seems to be happening with us. At times getting too inward and at what times we put it. And then we kind of started finding, so awareness. Once you kind of become aware of something, and get to some sort of solutions around it. And there are other challenges that one would face, being multi-geographies, different places. We continue to still have those challenges. It's been a long journey. I mean, it's not been like something that I would say that we've done. I mean, still in it for, it's 7-8 years since, if I formally say that, I mean, but I think there is no one set point where you say that the journey started, because something starts internally and then that kind of manifests at some point of time into some outward action. So yeah, even if I take 2016, 17 as that point, yeah, it's been now almost 10 years since we are on it, and it's stage. Maybe there's no end to this, and we just continue on this.
A fundamental question here: how do you see A1 as? Is it something that you are building as an institution, which was way past the even lifetimes of all the people who are involved today? Is that how you are envisioning A1 today? Is that a collective vision?
Yeah. So I can tell you one thing which I'm able to think of as you ask this thing, that a phrase often gets used at A1 about, is this in line with making 100-year organization? So that's something which we are conscious and talk about quite frequently amongst us, that, hey, look, is this in line with what we're trying to make? And looks like there is a collective way to make this 100 years a way to say it. Yeah, something which outlives all of us, right?
Right. Yeah. So then when you talk about things like that, do people struggle with just thinking of the time horizon? Is that a challenge that you've seen?
So what I am aware of, or what I can say here is this, that I think the way we talk about this, the 100-year organization, it basically is a way of triggering within ourselves what are the principles of decision making. Yeah. Are we embedded in our ideology? Are we taking things, doing things authentically? Do we have a clear intention around things? Yeah, it's kind of a phrase, a metaphor that means that. Okay. And the belief is that if we do that, everything else will take care of it. Yeah. So the 100 years will be taken care if we are anchored into our ideology, anchored into what we are. If we are being ourselves, to give you an example, just yesterday, we had this one campaign which came up, which said, we've come up with a product called Turnstiles. Yeah. And it says new age of access control or revolution and all that. Yeah. And some of us who saw this, we felt that, hey, there's nothing revolutionary about this. Yeah. So, so people who said that, felt that it's not authentic. Yeah, the communication out there is not authentic. And we felt that if it's not authentic, it's not us. And if it's not us, it's not going to really resonate out there. It's probably the differentiator was not about the revolution or innovation or something. The differentiator was probably that we are trying to make a complete product suite over here. So let's put it out there in that way. Yeah, and that's what this is. Yeah. So that's where, so to give you an example that, we have an space here where we are okay to look at things and say that, hey, no, if this us or if this not us. Yeah.
So in this example, this is a great example, Saurabh. So in this example, doesn't the marketing team, come back to you saying, no, this is how we are going to get demand when we call it revolutionary and new age. Or maybe into
So the response was quite what A1 is. Yeah. The response was trying to understand. Yeah. The way this thing is coming from. And I think it resonated. So it wasn't about this is how it will happen or something, or someone trying to push back. So I think this ability to listen, the ability to this consciousness that we should remain open to a feedback, to something that's coming our way, think about it, and then respond to it. Is I think we've been done well on that side. Yeah. So one wouldn't just immediately react to say, no, this is how it's done. Then like, okay, let's hear this out. So when they hear it, they give it a couple of moments and makes sense. And they could change.
One challenge is to get everyone within the company to be, thinking on these lines, right? And I have a lot of other questions on this, but just suddenly me. One challenge is that, but very often overlooked challenge is how do the people who come in, quickly join this way of thinking, right? So it's both about finding the right kind of a person as soon as that person comes in to indoctrinate this, collective thinking as well. So how have you done on that?
So this has been a very interesting thing. This part of what you just asked, yeah, because the amount of time we spend on, I think probably if you ask 5 or 10 different people, likelihood is that 70 to 80% of people will say that yes, we do believe that the most important process in the organization is the recruitment process. So that's something which we spend ourselves completely out and spend ourselves and spend the other set of people who are applying. So we've had feedbacks and we've had things written on the internet about us, and lengthy and tiring, hopefully not boring. So that's, we spend a lot of time on that continuously. We've been working on this recruitment process very consciously for the last 8-9 years. Yeah. And we continue to work on it, continue to improve it, continue to see that, okay, what can be added onto it and the learnings that we can take and so on. Yes. That's one very important. Now we see what we're trying to do the most over there. Functional competency is not the most difficult part of assessing today with all the tools that are available to us. It's really the alignment here, that how are they likely to feel with us, the questions that we, when we get together to assess whether somebody who is, coming in, should they come in or should they not? Yeah. The conversation often is around how engaging was the conversation with them. Yeah. How did we feel? Yeah, we try to name those words that, it felt engaging on this or that. And there are instances when if more than one person feels and the conversation was boring, yeah, then we try to get into that. Why that? And so on. And bunch of other things. We don't look for perfect alignment, but we look for possibilities for it. Yeah, that how much do we feel at that point of time that this alignment will happen. So that's one. Okay. And the second part of, and I don't want to use the word indoctrination, but the second part of, kind of working on that alignment part is because see, a big part of A1 is about being others. Yeah. So that, the word probably not, whatever I understand, the little meaning of indoctrination might not go congruently. But anyway, so we talk about our values quite a bit. We talk about how those values manifest in our processes, how they manifest in whatever we do. So there are formal ways of doing that. Plus, um, there is this whole aim of confrontation and feedbacks, which progressively more and more we are able to do better and better. So we kind of, if we come across something which we feel is not aligned with us, we bring it up there, we bring it on the table and hear it out, try to process it, ourselves process it, have someone who's come in process it and see. I think, and this in various different forms when we do that. Yeah. So when we are, basically what I'm saying is that we're ready to confront it, we're ready to talk about it. And again, all these conversations usually happen in with a lot of peace, with a lot of, you don't make a big deal out of it. You say, "Ah, that's fine. I mean, and and that helps us to get more and more line. And my experience has been that as the core has become deeper and bigger, okay, it has become easier and easier. Okay, I think 7, 8 years back, some of us certain lot of this, and this worry of the speed at which we are hiring and the speed at which our numbers are increasing and how are we do this. It's very worrying at one point of time, but gradually as the core started becoming bigger and also themselves becoming deeper in understanding of ourselves, in understanding of our values, I think that journey became easier.
Right, right. And do you have something like Amazon has this famous bar raiser idea
Right.
that, there is a hiring manager who's doing the entire process, but there is someone else who comes in. So who basically evaluates whether this person coming in raises the bar at Amazon or not. And that person call is like the veto on that. The hiring manager cannot be cannot play the role of the bar raiser.
Yeah.
So I find that very, very interesting. Have you, institutionalized any such,
Yeah.
checklist?
So I speak to you about this one later. Maybe I would like to understand. Sounds like an interesting idea. Yeah. So yeah. So we don't have this about raising the bar, but what we certainly have is that usually, depending on the leadership level and the management level, an individual is coming in. There is a disproportionately high younger set of folks who join in A1. Yeah, we resist horizontal entries quite passionately. Yeah. Uh, but of course, I mean, as we grow, there are things, there are kind of works which come up which we really don't have. So we have to go out looking for people. So what we have institutionalized is that there are a bunch of people who meet. Yeah. And HR at A1 is not really HR's lookout. It's pretty much everyone's lookout. So we have a bunch of people meeting in, the teams which are very likely to work with an individual, manager, maybe even, people who the person coming in is going to manage, they all come in. And there are about 3 to 6 people, yeah, anywhere between 3 to 6 people who will have met the possible recruit, and then we kind of have methods of going through the functional competencies, going through the value alignment. So what we have our core values, and we kind of try to make an assessment of that, where this individual is with this particular value, and then we try to look at what makes us feel what we feel. Yeah. At this point of conversation, this came out, this makes me feel that maybe with this value, we might have some challenge or things like that. Yeah. So this is a collective conversation. And actually, this has been one process where at least I can personally say that I learned a lot about collaborative decision making. Okay, because people decisions are something which I think a lot of us tend to take some of our biases and some of our conditionings very quickly. Yeah. I've read things about how some of the recruiting decisions take place in the first few seconds of a conversation. We're not really aware of it. And, after that, we're only finding reasons to validate that decision that already been taken somewhere back of the mind. Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, I certainly was no exception. And I'm sure my teammates will also say that they also felt the same. Yeah. But when we got into this kind of thing, we realized that, at least I can talk about myself, that I would walk in with a certain orientation, but could see that orientation change in that process of that collective conversation. And doing that process helped me in understanding the collaborative decision making and everything else that I do. So yeah, that's what we do, and that's worked really well. So this whole trying to see um, a situation of in context of the recruitment from multiple perspectives, weighing in on each one, and that's been a tremendous learning process in itself.
Right. And have you been able to identify traits in people in other spheres of life, which if they show some of those things, you feel like,
Yeah.
yes, this is a person who's probably a good fit. Have you done that? And what?
So we have had some indicators around that. Yeah. So I wouldn't say that a lot of these things we've been able to kind of, in fact, I think we might never do that. That, if this is what it is, then this is what it would be. Yeah. But there are certain. So to give you an example, we've often seen there is someone has a deep passion outside of work in something. Yeah. So let's say a sports or music or something. We find that tends to work better for us. Yeah, so just to give you an idea that, a certain, I don't know, I won't call it a trade, but something that we've seen, that someone is passionate about football or this or that, and they are regularly taking time out to do it. Yeah, so we do come across a lot of folks with passion, but then when the conversation goes around at what's happening right now, so usually, or often the conversation on that used to be a few years back, now kind of, settled without it and things like that. And then there are people who say that, come what may, Saturday I am going to play my football and this and that. And that been one observation that we've had that, we see those kind of folks tends to work out better for us. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I have no qualms in, telling people at your company that, yeah, I spend hours doing my 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, and I've just started 5,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. People were like, "Oh wow, this is great. Have you
Yeah.
thought this jigsaw puzzle?" Was the immediate reaction.
Yeah. That's so let's see. That needs me to just another conversation that happened at A1. So we have mixed feelings about the word being professional. Okay. We kind of talk about it at length, and we asked ourselves that what does it mean to be professional? Yeah. Because we are impersonal. Okay. And that's something which we're also realizing, as we're going into newer geographies, that there is a line that we need to draw. Yeah. Because frankly, where we are right now, starting from India, we are into each other massively. Yeah. But, I was recently told that, in this country, you have to draw lines. You can't go beyond the point, and I was thinking to myself that I would still like to go beyond the point, but maybe I'll go slow. Yeah. Yeah. So what you just said that about the jigsaw puzzle, so we are very interested in each other, what we're doing personally, and I would like to believe that largely, the air is less judgmental, yeah. So people share things, yeah, and they talk about it, and we enjoy doing that.
Yeah. So how has been this, panning across geographies? That's a very interesting point that you, bring up, Saurabh. So how has this journey been while, being a multinational company, right? Multinational, multi-geography presence, multicultural presence.
Yeah, that's another one which kind of triggers us, the multinational company. Yeah, but anyway, we'll leave that for some other time. So yeah, going into these different countries, different geographies, it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of learning and things like that. But I think where you mean is from the context of building this up in a certain way. Yeah, they've been. It takes time. We've taken time in understanding. Because we've also clubbed this with another thing that we wish to do. That wherever we go, we want to belong there. Yeah. So we don't want to be foreigners or outsiders coming in trying to do things. And interestingly, I hope I'm being very honest here. that we've actually experienced that there is a way more things which um, are similar than what is different. Yeah. And I think that what has helped us in experiencing this, that we've consciously tried to develop ourselves into people um, who try to look for strengths and who try to look for good. Yeah. And I think when we are doing that, it automatically gets us to see the brighter sides and all of that. And we are able to find uh, um, more grounds where we are similar. And then gradually, we are able to fine tune certain things that need to be done. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so challenging. More in context of it takes a little bit of time, but if we keep patience and we remain curious, that what is this about? Why is it, let's say, not working, or what is it that's working? We are able to find ourselves and you know, yeah, go more smoothly than what we would imagine it to be.
It's very interesting that we use the word curious, because I was going to ask you about this. As I'm hearing more and more about the way of working at A1, I think curiosity is at the heart of it. It is about trying to understand yourself, trying to understand where somebody's thought process is coming from. And it's about understanding rather than, like you said, judging, right? Uh, and have you sort of try to inculcate curiosity in yourself, others? What have you done to do that?
Yeah. So,
You like the company, yeah? It's not just you sort of.
So couple of things immediately come to mind. So a book which has played a lot of an important role in even becoming whatever it is right now has been Humble Inquiry by Edgar Schein. That's something which bunch of us went through, talked about it. We have these sessions where we review certain books and try to refer to it. So this phrase also of humble inquiry has, gets used quite commonly. And I think that and around that, like I remember one of my coaches actually getting quite annoyed with me and saying that, sort of try to understand before you want to be understood. Yeah. And while I might not have liked it at that point of time, but it stayed with me for long enough to kind of uh, to try to understand that what he meant. Yeah. And it kind of resonated at some point that, yeah, that's a good way of being, and helps, and then when we've learned that when we like something as abstract as that, and we, we are now able to convert those abstract ideas into some concrete pieces of actions and then see that, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to understand right now before being wanting to be understood. Yeah. And once you start enjoying it, you start liking it and you start getting kind of good outcomes out of it, uh, that way becomes more and more way of being and spreads.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I think that's another very great point that you just brought out, Saurabh, there, that everyone seems to be having a shared language, shared lexicon, where people are able to use phrases. It's like, fans of Sholay,
Yeah.
going to something, or like you know, uh, spoke about Ganguly, and that's like a chord. I know we can have
Yeah.
one separate, and podcast episode talking just about cricket and Ganguly and Steve Bob, right? So the challenge with that is also that people need to be, inside that ring or fence. And with something like this, right, you also have a systemic challenge again in your company, the kind of work that you do, that so many people who come to work in your, factory are probably not going to be exposed to things like these in advance, right? Some of them are going to be temporary workers. So how do you ensure this common language being present? And I'm not even going to, other countries and geographies now, right? Even within India, it's going to be a big challenge.
I think, Harish, what I feel is when there is a critical mass following something, I think rest don't need to be explained. Yeah. Once you have a certain set of people following a way of being. Yeah. Rest kind of, just feel that that's a way. Yeah. How is it maybe something which we used to think about when we used to apply logic to it? We used to feel, oh, it will be like so many people. How will we do it? And, feeling that, okay, we'll have to go through this process and all that. But at this moment, it appears to me that, if you can get to that critical mass, okay, what that is, I don't know really. Yeah. But once you get to that critical mass, then, there's an automatic adoption of values or way of being and behaviors. Yeah.
It reminds me of that dance video that Derek Sivers had once posted, and Seth Godin had also talked about, where this one crazy guy who starts dancing on a, on a hill, and slowly people start joining, and they're like complete strangers who start joining, right? It takes that one crazy guy to start. Then people just come in. How you're describing is very similar.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good analogy.
Yeah. And how have people, when we're talking about these temporary workers, how have they generally taken to something like this? Because they would have probably worked in other kind of factories, other places in India. How do they, look at this? And do they think, this is great, I want to come back again and again to A1 only? How does that work?
So is that, I mean, something, can we talk here about, like, for example, the category of folks like consultants? Yeah.
Yes,
Is that
as well. Anyone who comes in for specific role.
Yeah. I am not really like kind of permanent in nature.
Right?
Yeah. So my experience with this set of folks have been that, I think that's probably with everybody, that either people come in or go out. Yeah. So both ways. Okay. I mean, there's no lingering on. Yeah. And those who come in, those who get stuck in, don't remain temporary. I mean, I'm kind of speaking on their behalf right now that I would like to believe that they start enjoying this way of being, and then something which could be very interesting for us to think about at A1 could be whether what's the context of us coming together? Yeah, is it a piece of work or is it people? Okay. And then we invent a piece of work. I'm kind of starting to see that this is a space where we really like to be with each other. And then because we like to be with each other, we do business. Yeah, I had really beginning to feel that it's not the other way around. It's not business. And then we kind of get together. We get together and say that, do you know what? I mean, let's make something meaningful out of this being together and let's do that. Yeah. So a lot of people who've come around, I mean, there's so many who, started working with us, consulting us, advising us, or maybe some piece of work. It's been about 10, 12 years and they seem to be only working with A1 now. Okay, still consulting us, but one after the other, we find pieces of work because we just like being with each other. Yeah.
It's a very great way to put it. I would definitely want to go deeper on this specific, way that you have described your business, right? How does that feel? You also must be feeling, privileged, lucky, happy that you've created something where, people are just wanting to be part of that.
Yeah. So I think, I speak for myself. I feel tremendously lucky to have gotten, so often I've thought to myself that I'm really lucky to have found this set of people around me and to be with them. And I'm guessing that might be a prevalent feeling that we do feel very lucky to be part of this. Yeah, no doubt about that. And
it's also a responsibility because, there is a reason why people are, attracted to you. So you can't let them down in any way as well, right?
To be honest, don't think about it too much. Yeah, you don't think about. I don't think you think more about that. Oh, it's our responsibility or something. You just let it kind of flow. Yeah,
right.
And let it happen. Yeah, and time things don't work out, but we don't really beat ourselves for it. All right.
Yeah. One question that I wanted to ask Saurabh was about the industry that you are in, right? Because, like you said, you don't get, say, too many laterals. You end up, getting people young into the system, and then you groom them, and that's how they grow. But that also means that maybe, as a company, you might miss out on something which is current today, or who's worked in the industry for 15, 20 years will probably give you an edge there. Is that a challenge, or is that a systemic challenge of the industry, or the
Yeah.
location of the industry which allows you to do this? Have you thought about this?
So definitely there are pros and cons. Yeah, definitely there is. Yeah. See, look, what you miss out on and you don't know, you don't know. Yeah. So there is, I think, if we have, whenever we think about it, yeah, we do feel that there are things that we probably miss out on. Um, but it's not that we've never done that. Okay. So some in substance of doing all of that has been that a belief. I mean, no beliefs are right or wrong. A belief that uh, we don't regret it. Yeah, it's okay to miss out on a few things because it's uh, the times when we have tried to not miss out on that and brought people in horizontally, the misery that we have created for ourselves and for them. I think better off without that. It's okay to miss out on maybe a piece of development, maybe a piece of business, something like that. So I mean, again, it's different people would take a different call. Yeah, we are okay with that. We're okay with missing that out.
Yeah, I think the way to describe this, and I use that phrase very deliberately, is make peace with, which I don't think is the same as compromising. It is making peace with your, calls, your decisions, and how things are.
See, whichever way anyone wants to put it, whether it's making a compromise. If someone says, "Are you making a compromise?" I said, "Yeah, we're making a compromise, but we're okay with it. Yeah, we made peace with that compromise, so that's fine." Yeah.
Right. And having said that, maybe you guys are always itching to go come up with new products, right?
Yeah.
I know that there are multiple new innovations that you have done and probably not exploited all of them. That's
Yes,
more of a reason for dissatisfaction than the fact that you're not coming up with new things.
yeah.
Which again, the reason why I'm asking that is would be an indicator of a team which is deeply ensconced, highly incumbent people would probably have stayed thinking, which is not in your case. So, how do you then still manage to do this, to come up with new products, new innovations?
Again, I think it's very inherent in nature of the organization. Yeah. Uh, Clearly, we love making new products. Yeah. So clearly, I mean, it's now no more a doubtful thing. Yeah. And we don't do a great job of sending everything that we made. Yeah. There are things that we have made, and it's only when we are walking across the factory and we see a prototype. It's, oh, what happened to this one? Yeah, it didn't really take it there. And the amount of effort it is taking us to develop that ability to kind of be able to leverage a development tells me something about the organization that it doesn't love that part of it. Yeah. So it's taking a lot of effort. It's taking a lot of conscious bit of work. But to make products has never been an effort. Yeah, it's very it's just it's enjoyable to do it. We have fun doing that, and uh, it's so much so that we've kind of almost a situation where we are telling each other not again, yeah, not another one, and kind of a thing. Yeah, but that's any such effort that we have put into kind of lock in development has not been successful. Yeah, it finds its way. Products keep getting developed and keep getting developed and not getting leveraged. Yeah, definitely a thing which, at least personally speaking, I want to see that change at A1. Yeah, I think there's a lot of locked in value which can be released if we are able to develop that.
Right, right. And that also doesn't mean that there is not a lot of focus on quality of what you are doing as well, right? It's not about rushing after something, the new shiny object. but also trying to continuously improve what you are doing, right? Quality is one of the biggest sort of differentiators, as I know, for your products as well.
So, just like how you mentioned about product development, yeah, quality is another thing which comes naturally. And we obsess over quality, and um, it's debatable that it perhaps even has been detrimental to our financial growth at times. The amount we obsess over quality and some of the market that we worked in. Yeah. But again, I mean, so as I'm talking to you, and I can kind of myself feel the theme that we just trying to be ourselves. Yeah. So that's something which again comes naturally. Yeah. So perhaps selling is something which has not come naturally. Leveraging development has not come naturally, but keep developing new products, obsessing over quality. A lot of us, whichever area we might be in, whether we are selling, whether we are just leveraging partnerships, etc. When we are on the shop floor, often we end up going to the product, looking at minor things, talking to people around it. That is this okay? Is this how it's supposed to be, and things like that. It's very naturally built in, yeah. And obviously because that has been the bent of mind, so now the processes have also evolved around that a lot. So therefore, that has kind of helped us in keeping our quality where we've been able to keep.
Right. And just like how we were speaking about, when you go and recruit people, you need to find the right kind of people who match and align with who you are. Uh, is there a need for also looking at the right kind of markets so that you can serve them with the same amount of dedication and desire as you would like?
There's certainly been, I mean, certainly something with, every, like, given that I know that this conversation would be broadcasted at some point of time, I wouldn't want to kind of name those markets, but there are some markets which are very frustrating, which are very, actually make us feel sad to be part of those, where, let's say, for example, where quality is not valued to where we wish it to be valued. And that has made us take few steps. Yeah, we have consciously gone into markets which we perhaps did not naturally want to get into. Yeah. But yeah, we have kind of pushed ourselves to get into market where we feel that what we bring will be valued and appreciated.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I'll not delve deeper into that. Yeah. I mean, Sindhu, one of the other things that I also noticed, I when I visited your, office, right? Once you step inside, it looks like a completely different physical space. Again, I know you don't like the word MNC, but again, given the expectations that you have from offices, right? I would have, if I had taken a picture of myself in your office space and shared it with someone, they would have expected me to be in the office of some IT product, MNC or funded
That bad.
stuff, and not really an industrial estate. So again, why is that? Is that all again a reflection of who you are? This is who we are. So this is just we want to begin.
The brief to the architect was again very simple. I mean, it has to be aligned to the values. Yeah. And whatever you feel, when we say that our top core value is freedom and openness, that's what you see in the space. Yeah. And again, I mean, we believe that anything that's done, which is done from, inside, what we feel deeply inside, I think it resonates with the world. And we didn't make it for someone visiting us. We made it for ourselves. But, just like how you experience it, we see that a lot of people who visit us like to be in this space. And it takes me back to that story which I told you about the marketing campaign, where we say that, let's do it for ourselves. And if we are doing it aligned with what we are, it will resonate outside too. So yes, we have been very conscious of the spaces. We have, it's the same set of architects who are working across the geographies and trying to create spaces which are congruent and which are resonate with our values, and of course, taking in the local flavors.
Two areas I want to go into, which I'm going to, call out. You mentioned that you don't want to go very deep into your own journey, but I will cover that. But before that, about the industry again, right? How do you see that shaping up in the next 5, 10 years? The space that you are in, so much of borders, tribe, and all of that, security becoming very important, technology coming in. How is that industry shaping up in general?
So honestly, I think, I might not be the best person who would, I mean, I don't feel myself to be so knowledgeable or qualified to be able to call out how this is going to shape up. Okay. However, I still give it a go. Yeah. I think, where the situation is, maybe some of us would say, unfortunately, in one context and fortunately from the business context, yeah, looks like the world seems to be leading more and more fences. Yeah. So, so looks like that. I mean, while there is, the talk of technology, ever since, I think from many decades now, there's always this thing about more and more technology coming in. And that's happening in our industry as well. Yeah, the more and more uh, technology, so to say, surveillance and cameras and everything is coming. But, everything is getting more integrated. There is space still for the physical barriers that we make a lot of. We also do the electronic side. Um, so what we are seeing is more standardization across the globe. Yeah. While there were fences which there were not enough standards for the customer, for the clients to kind of have a point of reference. Now we have a lot more of that. You have industries like data centers which are emerging in such a, at such a speed. And that's kind of standardizing once again things globally. It's the same companies which are setting up data centers, whether that's in the US or in India, and they seem to be wanting the same thing, whether that's in the US or India. So that's another big driving force of what's shaping our industry right now. And then, of course, the challenges that at borders are, so while every border is different, but challenges because borders are borders because they are, there is some sort of a natural divide, which historically maybe separated two different cultures and then gradually became political borders. Yeah. So you have either mountains or seas or rivers or something like that. Yeah. So the conditions are always difficult. Yeah. Uh, looks like there'll always be a need for physical barriers coupled with integrated surveillance systems. Yeah. And the challenges remain, not sanitized. So how do you install those kind of products? Usually there is also high degree of corrosion. So what do you do for that? How do put something which can last 20 to 30 years? Yeah. So yeah, I think that's the journey, and that's what will continue evolving.
And what have been some of those interesting stories, anecdotes that you can share about the places where you put up borders?
Let me think. Yeah. So there are times that we've put a fence, and after some time when you visit, you see nothing because everything is not under the sand or under the snow. We have put fences which have gone 15 feet under the snow.
Wow.
Yeah. And you still have a sensor working. Yeah. So those are things we've had situations in Jammu and Kashmir where our teams have gone and there is a snow leopard to deal with. So they've stayed in a hut throughout the night knowing that something else is out there. Borders are interesting cases, and they're also, it's kind of ironical, but they're also very beautiful, because generally there's a lot of nature there. And I think a lot of us have been lucky to visit a bunch of borders and experience it. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Do you also do borders for places, inside sort of civilization, cities, society? You meant?
There isn't a situation that immediately comes to mind.
Hmm.
Of course, we do a lot of high security areas, sensitive zones. Yeah, you have nuclear facilities and all of that. But as far as cities or states are concerned, I am not able to think of that in any country right now which we have done.
Okay, okay. Right.
Thankfully, yeah.
When you were speaking, I was visualizing all these heist movies and movies like, Die Hard 5 and all, where, person is jumping over a fence to get into a power plant. I think that's the image that people like us, they're talking about, fences like yours. That's very interesting. So, you know, last few minutes, so I will definitely get back to, the topic that you didn't want me to get, right? Tell me about your story, Saurabh, and one anecdote that you mentioned about, how you came back from the US and had to prepone return to India. Why did that happen?
All right, it's Gangmi was playing the last test match, and I mean I did not know when I planned my return, so I had to kind of pull it up a little bit and cancel some plans and do that.
Right. So you went to Nagpur to,
I went to Nagpur, yeah.
yeah, and last day Dhoni asked him to,
That was a nice. That's a nice memory that we have. Yeah.
yeah. So a lot of people who used to follow cricket during those times, and I still follow, but definitely not as deeply after November 2013. So did something
Mm.
like that happen to you as well?
Oh, of course. I mean, I'm guessing you're talking about Sachin Tendulkar over here, right? So yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, in fact, I remember writing somewhere, whether that was on social media or on my diary, somewhere that don't know whether it was cricket or whether it was Sachin, yeah, and whether it will remain the same or not, and it definitely didn't remain the same, And I mean, Sachin in many ways, I mean, was Sachin, and then also he was kind of the last of Dravid, Ganguly, Lakshman, and Sehwag, so he was last of those. So it kind of pretty much, it was end of an era in a way, yeah. So definitely changed, but yeah, I kind of continue to follow Test Freedom channel very, very passionately, yeah, and I'm kind of still enjoy it as much as I enjoyed it back then. Yeah, I'm definitely not able to watch as much as I used to. Yeah, I have consciously stayed away from the other formats of the game. It just allows me to kind of follow it with more sanity.
Yeah. So again, I would have put, Test cricket versus T20 as one of those indicators or markers for people who would, thrive at A1.
All right. Yeah, I haven't thought about it as much. Yeah, yeah.
It's like Hindustani classical music, right? You need to spend that time, do the alap before you get into that.
So yeah, I mean, music and means I can't understand, but yeah, I, I don't know. I mean, since I don't understand the format so well, the other format so well, so I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Saurabh. So before I let you go, couple of hot take questions for you, Saurabh. What's that one tiny non-work habit that you swear makes you, a better leader, a better person?
I think one. Okay, yeah. So cost reading and being a father. So I think these are three things. I don't know. It's a habit. I mean, being a father is not a habit. But yeah, I think these three things help me help me contribute to a one better.
Okay. And one book you re-gift most often?
Life of Mahatma Gandhi by B V Harish.
Okay. And last thing that you change your mind about in the past month?
Intellectual property. Yeah. So I had a certain view of how IP is looked at in some of the countries in the East, and I didn't have a favorable view of it. Okay, but in a conversation with a friend and a colleague, he helped me see that how uh, the culture of those lands see intellectual property as. And that really made me wonder and really made me think that, hey, you know what, there's this another way of looking at it. Yeah. So it changed my mind. I mean, when I'm kind of less happy to change my mind because it also, holding that view that I did, made me feel about a certain piece of land in a certain way, which was not very pleasant for me. Yeah. And, you know, kind of when I got this around, I really started, yeah, I mean, there is this way to look at it.
Yeah. On that note, I think
Yeah.
Saurabh, that sort of typifies the whole conversation that we've had about the importance of curiosity, about understanding where somebody is coming from. And I think that's a great example. It was not planned, but I think it's a right note on which we can end this conversation. Thanks a lot. This is a fantastic conversation. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Harish. Thank you.